Ozzy Osbourne might be the most misunderstood man in music history.
One of the most outrageous shows in rock and roll belongs to the very controversial Ozzy Osbourne.
His shows are like something you've never seen before. In fact, we can't even show you all of what he does on stage.
He bit the head of a bat on stage, dressed like a demon. Christian groups called him a Satanist.
Wherever I see satanic graffiti, I see your name also. Do you feel a sense of responsibility, Oz?
Ozzy Osbourne's music is a sort of doorway to darkness, you know, it's down the slippery slope to the devil.
But here's the twist.
You don't look like a madman.
What if all of this, the horror, outrage, chaos, is just a mask hiding the real Ozzy underneath?
The madman of rock and roll, Ozzy Osbourne, and his 3 children.
What if Ozzy Osbourne was actually the nicest guy in the whole music industry?
The legendary singer Ozzy Osbourne has died.
Since he passed away just recently, I went deep into old footage, rare interviews, and documentaries.
To be Ozzy Osbourne, it could be worse.
I even called one of his former band members, and the story I kept hearing over and over forced me to completely rethink my perception of Ozzy.
Believe me, there is a method to his madness.
Let me tell you a story.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness.
Ozzy wasn't always Ozzy. John Michael Osbourne grew up in a very religious family. And back then, you'd see him in church every single Sunday.
I didn't come from fucking a middle class or upper class background. Where I came from was like very bottom end of the scale, you know.
His father worked night shifts at the local toolmaking factory, and his mother cleaned houses for wealthier families. 6 Osbourne kids shared beds in a cramped council house, and religion was the foundation of their existence. At school, Ozzy was bullied a lot because he struggled with dyslexia. So by his teens, he started to rebel.
My father always says to me, you're either going to do something very special or you're going to go to prison.
Petty theft, vandalism, even a short stint in prison.
The police come round and says, does John Osbourne live here? And our dad says, there he is, take him.
I got locked up in Winston Green prison for about 6 weeks.
But that crucifix never came off.
When I eventually got out of prison, life still felt hopeless for me.
And it was during this time that he discovered music. While still in school, Ozzy joined his friend Tony Iommi in what would eventually become Black Sabbath.
In the early days, it was just fucking guys having a blast.
They had a heavy doom-filled sound, and most experts credit Black Sabbath with inventing heavy metal. With slow-crushing riffs, dark lyrics about war and death, plus an image taken straight out of a horror movie.
People go to film movies to get scary. Why don't we start doing scary music?
They quite literally scared the bejesus out of parents everywhere. But these working-class kids weren't trying to corrupt anyone. They were simply trying to make sense of the darkness around them. The Vietnam War was raging. A nuclear war seemed almost likely, so they wrote about it. The lyrics were warnings, not celebrations. But in 1970, people weren't listening for meaning. They just heard the heaviness and the creepy images and assumed it has to be evil. And the music was indeed heavier than anything before it. Imagine listening to this in 1970, after hearing things like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones for the past decade.
That tone, that haunting tone he had, and the way he sang, and no one sounded like him.
The press labeled them as satanic, and the myth was born.
All the Metallicas and Slayers and Soundgarden, it all leads back to Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath had laid the foundation, the sound, the look of what would eventually be known as heavy metal. But after 10 years of creating music together, Ozzy Osbourne was fired. The band was falling apart, and he was drinking himself into oblivion.
With the success of the albums came more money, which enabled us to buy a better class of drug, basically.
When I got fired to Sabbath, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I thought, well, you know, I thought it was the end of the dream, you know.
And that's when he met the woman who would change his life forever.
Take your daughter and off, you
Sharon Arden was the daughter of the famous music manager Don Arden. By the time she met Ozzy, she was already running her own management company.
He had very low self-esteem. He had no confidence whatsoever.
She was tough, successful, and saw massive potential in this lost and drunken metal singer.
I knew he had great talent, and I felt in my gut that he could make a huge comeback. It was then that I became his actual manager.
As his new manager, and not long after, his wife, Sharon Osbourne, saw something the industry had been missing. Ozzy's theatrical madness wasn't just entertaining, it was marketable. Really marketable. So when Ozzy kicked off his solo career, it wasn't just dumb luck. It was all part of Sharon's master plan. In 1981, he and Sharon went to a big meeting with CBS Records.
You know, Ozzy's deal was a cheap deal. They didn't want Ozzy. It was a favor that they signed Ozzy. And it was like, okay, well, they've got to remember you.
They brought along 3 white doves to release as a symbol. But Ozzy, drunk and unpredictable, bit the head off one of the doves. And then he did the same thing to the second dove.
The head of legal said, if you ever do that again, we will absolutely destroy you. And we're like, you.
But now we know it was all Sharon's idea.
He had a raw talent, and I think he just needed to be pointed in the right direction. She kept him going, you know.
To be fair, the craziness probably wasn't all her.
I'm a certified schizophrenic. I'm insane.
But when I started digging into old footage and archives, I found so many stories about Ozzy, and a lot of that material wasn't available here in Norway. But thankfully, I have my friends at NordVPN. I always use NordVPN to access documents and interviews that are not available outside of the original country. I usually always just leave NordVPN on because it helps me stay safe on the internet.
Experts tell us that clicking on some of those ads could be very risky.
Many people don't know this, but here are the 3 most common cybersecurity threats. Number 1, the so-called man-in-the-middle attack. You want to surf the web on your local cafe, so you connect to cafe-free Wi-Fi, but it's a trap. It's a Wi-Fi set up by criminals who want to access your data while you are browsing. With NordVPN, you can encrypt your online traffic. Number 2, malvertising. Some ads not only try to sell you junk, but some also want to load malware onto your computer and turn it into scrap. NordVPN's threat protection will block all of those ads for you. And last but definitely not least, password attacks. Passwords are our first line of defense, and sometimes they get leaked.
16 billion passwords have been discovered by researchers in a giant database,
which can result in you losing your accounts, valuable information, or even money. NordVPN's dark web monitor will help you notice if some of your credential appears in the dark web. All the viewers of my channel can now get an exclusive NordVPN deal using the link nordvpn.com/asapark. Use that link and you'll get 4 bonus months if you get yourself a 2-year plan. And they trust their own product, because if you for some reason are not satisfied, you'll get a 30-day money-back guarantee. Okay. Let's get back to Ozzy.
Osbourne was arrested for urinating on the Alamo.
I guess if we had had the authority, we would have hung the guy, really. And I believe most of San Antonio would have been down with us, holding on to that rope and pulling him up a tree.
Reunion Arena was filled with the anticipation of a cat slaughter tonight. Punk rocker Ozzy Osbourne was going to release hundreds of cats here and expected the audience to kill them before his appearance on stage.
Des Moines, Iowa, March 1982. A fan threw what looked like a rubber bat on stage. Then he bit its head right off, only to realize it wasn't made of rubber. It was a real bat. He had to get rabies shots.
And then suddenly, Ozzy is this larger-than-life character.
Bit into this bat.
You bit it.
It bit the head off a bat.
What is the truth behind Ozzy biting head off a bat?
After being fired from Black Sabbath, Ozzy disappeared even deeper into cocaine, booze, and pills.
I was just out of my fucking face on drugs and alcohol, you know.
He admitted to being permanently drunk or stoned during the early 80s.
If you have any drugs or any alcohol, give me some.
The absolute low point happened in 1989, when he got arrested for trying to kill Sharon.
And then he just got up from the sofa and just dived on me and started to choke me.
I And I asked the cop, why am I here? He says, you want me to read your charge for attempted murder of Sharon Osbourne? I'm like, is this a joke? He says, no, I'm not joking. He says, you're going to court in a minute.
She later dropped the charges, but this was a clear sign that his alcoholism and substance abuse had gotten completely out of control. But during these crazy times, something else was also happening. Despite all his self-destructive behavior, the people who worked closely with him kept telling the same surprising story. Ozzy showed a lot of kindness. That's Randy Rhoads, the guitar prodigy who became Ozzy's collaborator and close friend. Randy never talked about working with a madman. He talked about a mentor who believed in his talent when nobody else did.
You know, Randy was able to achieve a lot in a very short period of time. And a lot of it was due to Ozzy's mentorship.
Ozzy comes barreling into the dressing room area and says, which one of you guys is Henry? I am. And he's like, my name is Ozzy Osbourne, man. And they're like, welcome to the tour. Play the PA as loud as you want, man. Blow it up if you want to. Have a great time.
My friend Chris Wyse, a bassist who got a chance to work with Ozzy, told me similar things.
It was an awesome time. He was just so positive to work with. Like, he was very upbeat, a lot of jokes, lots of laughs, lots of messing around.
Even during his darkest moments, Ozzy was the guy who remembered everyone's names, asked about their families, and made sure they got paid fairly.
To Ozzy going, how's the family? How are the kids? Just the kind of person I wish I was more like.
Sharon understood that the Madman character sold records, so she amplified it, and the industry loved it. The media ate it up. Controversy meant headlines and coverage. But for Ozzy, maintaining that Madman image was slowly eating him away.
Is it always like this, or is this an exception?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Come on!
Yeah.
So he made a decision, one that would change everything.
I took drugs like it was going out of fashion. But you know, one day I said to myself, hey man, that's a false existence, you know.
In 1993, Ozzy made a shocking change that turned his entire life upside down. He got sober.
The new drug and alcohol-free Ozzy Osbourne is a fitness fanatic.
He'll work out for 2-3 hours at a time, constantly, non-stop, won't take a break.
It's good fun now. Doesn't look like having good fun. I love the feeling of exercise.
Well, that's very different to the Ozzy of old, isn't it?
No, I've always worked out.
Yeah, but you've definitely...
That was one workout.
That was a different kind of working out.
He did it not for his career, not for his image, but for his family.
My wife has spent all night cooking this. Would you believe I was the most incredible cook in the world?
He was trying to be the best Ozzy that he could be for us. He was trying his best.
The man who had built a fortune on chaos suddenly wanted to be present for the people he loved. Sharon later admitted that she'd been terrified he would become boring without the drugs and alcohol. The godfather of heavy metal brand was worth millions.
I mean, if I was sober, I would never have urinated up the Alamo. If I was sober, I would never have walked into CBS and bit the head off the dope.
And when the substances cleared out of his system, something remarkable happened. The real Ozzy stepped out from behind the mask. The story started spreading through rock circles like wildfire. Ozzy paying for struggling musicians' rent, Ozzy giving career advice to opening bands, Ozzy quietly covering medical bills for industry people who couldn't afford treatment. The same guy who supposedly worshipped Satan was funding music programs at children's hospitals. Ozzy Osbourne's persona still remained, but behind the curtain, he was quietly learning something crucial.
I'm not a freak. I've got a talent, a God-given talent, to give to people. What I want to spoil it for by taking drugs? Drugs is for fools, man.
And now he was ready to turn all that chaos into something bigger than himself. Something that would completely rewrite the rules of heavy metal forever.
The agent called back and said they don't want Ozzy on Lollapalooza, he's not cool enough. And I'm like, how dare this?
And my mum was like, we're going to start our own festival.
In 1996, Ozzy launched Ozzfest, a festival designed to promote heavy metal, both old and new.
This is the best day of my whole life, and it's gonna be awesome!
Instead of using his headliner status to promote himself, he turned his festival into a launching pad for other bands, a place to promote new and up-and-coming artists. Back then, it was unprecedented in the music industry.
They were kind enough to take us out and give us that shot, and now we were out playing arenas in America.
Slipknot, Deftones, System of a Down, even Linkin Park. So many bands got their first major exposure because Ozzy believed in their music.
We didn't know what we were doing. It was our first major tour. We didn't even have an album out. Be asked to like kind of co-headline. Right. I mean, it was a dream come true.
He wasn't just handing out stage slots. He was more like a big brother.
I'm naked, and I need to use your bathroom.
Hey, dude, can I have you? Come on, man.
Sharon, I've never met you before. I'd love to meet you under better circumstances, but if I don't run out the back right now, I'm gonna get arrested.
He treated everyone like humans without the dumb rockstar ego. And the numbers tell the story. Over 2 decades, Ozzfest launched more successful metal careers than any other platform in rock history. Ozzy and Sharon made sure that smaller bands shared the same stage with big names. This way, the new bands would get the kind of exposure they could only dream of.
Driving me mad, man.
Oh, and yes, sorry, I almost forgot. We have to talk about my favorite TV show on MTV in the early 2000s, The Osbournes. Reality TV was just starting to gain traction. And again, the genius of Sharon Osbourne. She read pop culture like no other. So she pitched the idea to create the Osbournes to MTV.
Sharon, I will say very slowly, it is not my band, and I don't want to do any promotion.
A project that would turn their chaotic family life into a reality show. And finally, the world would see who John Michael Osbourne really was. And that's when everyone got surprised.
You know, he'd made that leap from being the guy on the poster in your teenage son's bedroom to now the guy on the TV in the family living room.
Hi, darling.
Someone has been in my room and taken my beers away from my room.
I don't think so, darling.
The success of the show, I think, really turned my dad into a household name.
Because when MTV's cameras moved into his house and began filming everything, audiences expected to see a rockstar life. Instead, they got a devoted husband and father who picked up dog poop.
I love you all. I love you more than life itself.
The show revealed what people in the industry had known for years. The scariest man in rock was actually the most devoted family man.
17 years, this is as old as my son is, to finally go fishing with my son, like every father should do once in his life.
And the more I kept learning about Ozzy, here's what really caught me off guard. The incredible charity work he did. 3 weeks before Ozzy died, he did something that broke every record in music history. Black Sabbath's farewell show in the summer of 2025 raised around $100 million for charity. It's now one of the highest grossing benefit shows of all time. He gave it all away. Every penny split between Birmingham Children's Hospital, a children's hospice, and Parkinson's research. Ozzy officially became the most generous performer in rock history.
But I found out that I have a mild form of
It's Parkin 2. Which is a form of Parkinson's.
When Parkinson's disease started affecting his mobility and speech, even that became an act of generosity. Instead of hiding his condition, Ozzy became public about his struggles, helping reduce stigma and raising awareness for neurological research.
So if anybody out there gets diagnosed, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Come to our final song ever. I just want to say to you on behalf of the guys in Black Sabbath and myself, that your support over the years has made it all possible for us to live a lifestyle we live. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. I love you, we love you.
Like, that's pretty heavy metal. To just pass away 3 weeks after the biggest charity heavy metal concert in history. So I think a lot of people got duped by Sharon and Ozzy. They wanted us to believe he was the Prince of Darkness, but in reality, he was everything but.
I just want to tell you, because I may never see you again, that you are my favorite musician in the world.
Give me a hug.
You know, Ozzy's always been a man of the people, which for me is just one of the things I love about him.
Did he have his demons? Well, absolutely. Questionable behavior over the years? Well, as we've just seen, without a doubt. But like all good stories, this one has redemption. The man who built a career as the Prince of Darkness spent his later years quietly becoming rock's most generous soul.
Like the godfather of metal.
He does these wild things that seem dangerous, may actually be dangerous. And we receive that information as freedom.
Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
I know Ozzy's music resonates with a lot of people, so please let me know in the comments which Ozzy song has touched you the most. Also, get the best and safest VPN out there, NordVPN, by clicking the link in the description. See ya.